Storylines plentiful with this year's Pirates team. Maybe it's MVP Andrew McCutchen, or maybe it's the fact that the Buccos made their first postseason in 21 years. Regardless, the buzz is back here in the Steel City, and these fans expect a winner. This year's WVU women's basketball team has had a season for the record books. The Mountaineers have won 29 games so far. Mike Carey was named Big 12 Coach of the Year, and oh yeah, West Virginia is now ranked 5th in the nation, which happens to be the best in school history. Thanks, guys. I'm now joined alongside Fairmont State University men's basketball head coach Jared Calhoun. We are under an hour away from tip-off. The number 2 ranked team in all of D2 men's basketball has arrived in Fairmont. Coach, let's talk about the Bellarmine Knights. What makes them so good? The road ends here in the capital city. The RCB boys have not lost a game all year, but none of those games matter in comparison to this one. The Eagles were 32 minutes away from their first ever boys basketball state championship. Life can spin pretty fast when you're a high school senior. Just ask John Riley. The Lewis County big man has done nothing but average a double-double in his senior year at the highest level of West Virginia boys high school basketball. Not to mention, he still has a college decision to make, which includes 2 of our local programs, by the way. Morgantown wins its 7th state championship in school history, and the first one since 2007. Cutting down the nets behind me proves that if you're hot at the right time of the year, anything can happen. Reporting from the Charleston Civic Center, I'm Matt Hauswirth for 12. There is absolutely no question that winning at the highest level of college football is not an easy thing to do. The fact that Jimbo Fisher won a national championship last night is incredible. But what makes it so special is that he's one of us. He's a native West Virginian who reached the top of the mountain on Monday night. Welcome inside the WVU Coliseum. I'm Matt Hauswirth, now joined alongside Jeff Coyle of WVIllustrated.com. It is the very first night of college basketball here in Morgantown. And Jeff, let's first talk about West Virginia. Obviously, they are a very young team this year. What do you expect out of the Mountaineers? West Virginia's move to the Big 12 nearly 2 years ago was one filled with question. Travel, new opponents, and the uncertainty of conference expansion offered plenty of obstacles. Since entering the conference, the Mountaineer men's basketball team is 8-15 in Big 12 play. It certainly hasn't gone smoothly thus far. A lot of people know about the success you've had here. Been here for 13 years now, I guess. How do you sustain success over a long period of time? Justin Noble was a first-team All-State selection for the RCB football team this past fall. But once the winter rolls around, he throws in his football jersey for a basketball jersey, where he leads the number 1 team in Class AA in rebounds with 10 per game. It's a transformation that he says can only be done with hard work. And a lot of it. Opposing big men have seen themselves at the other end of the slam dunk thanks to Lamar Mallory. Basically, you need to be aware of where Mallory is on the court at all times. You better watch out. Or else that happens. College football players are mostly viewed as hard-nosed, tough individuals. But they do have a softer side.
What do you want? You want a T-shirt?
Coming up here and making a difference in the kid's life, and it makes a big difference. And it's cool for us that something as little as just signing an autograph, giving a paper, or just playing a game with them. They really enjoy it, and it makes a big difference. It's good to see a smile on their face.
The most important thing is making a difference in every day, and just being a part of this team. Something that we take pride in is making a difference in everybody's life, especially around the community and local area.
Glenville State football coaches and players spend Wednesday evening visiting with patients at the WVU Children's Hospital, resulting in smiles from ear to ear.
There you go.
That looks good right there.
It speaks volumes. It says that we're not just college athletes. We're actually people who want to give back and be in the community and take part in changing things for the better.
It's just awesome just to be able to give back and just making a positive impact in some of these kids' lives, to make a memory and a difference.
Pioneer coaches credit a very special school bus driver for the idea, an idea that they say will become a routine trip for years to come.
Well, Coach Hutch had approached me about a month ago.
This hospital is very dear to her heart as she went through a tragedy.
I lost my granddaughter. She was up here at the hospital in Morgantown, and then they flew her on to Pittsburgh. She passed away We buried her on December the 1st. She had whooping cough.
She just asked me if we'd be interested in bringing some guys up here, and I thought, what an awesome idea.
And I told him that we should, if the boys would like to do an activity where we could give back to the hospital, we should come up here.
And we're hoping that this could turn into something where we come up with a group once a month, or something that, it'll be a great event for the kids, and something we can to build on.
George Shell is never short on emotion and energy. The now West Virginia Wesleyan head football coach admits he gets it from his high school coach, who now happens to be an assistant under him.
I love Coach Iaquinta, and he's a great coach, and he was a guy I really liked playing for him. But then I gained an entire new respect for him as a coach and as a person when I stopped playing for him, when I graduated, because everything that he said made a lot of sense.
I was so glad that when he got picked up at Marshall and then also down at UC. And we've always stayed close. They went on to play college ball, and then I followed him after that, and he asked me to come up here.
The sideline here at Robert C. Byrd High School is where the dream of one day coaching football began for George Shell. He says it's a dream that could not have been attained without the direction of one Richard Iaquinta, a dream that became reality last December.
And I've been preparing for this very moment since I've been about 10 years old.
It was during that press conference when assistant coach George Shell became head coach George Shell. Iaquinta wasn't surprised with the transformation.
He told me in high school that he wanted to go into coaching, and I told him that I thought he'd make an excellent coach, pretty level-headed, not a risk taker and that type of thing, and stuck with the program, especially when he was at WVU, and always had a great attitude. You could never discourage him, never.
Iaquinta was the very first football coach at RCB back in 1996, and Shell was one of his first players. Fast forward the clock to 2013, and you will find Iaquinta coaching the special teams unit for the West Virginia Wesleyan Bobcats. It was a hire that Shell says was about as easy as it gets.
He coaches me, and there's some times where I need coached, maybe. Sometimes it's on the field, and sometimes he's telling me the quarterbacks are holding on to the ball too long and stuff. And then sometimes it's just I'll be having a tough day, and I just need some advice, and he's always the guy that I go to.
I will say I'm one of the older coaches, and I don't know. And I told George as long as he felt like that I was contributing, that I would help him. I realized that there's a lot of good young coaches that are up and coming, and I'm sure he'll fill those shoes as quick as they are vacated.
An unbreakable bond between a player and coach, forged together by the love for football.